512 miles on a single charge. That number is real, it is EPA rated, and you can buy the car that does it right now. Range anxiety is the #1 reason people avoid EVs. So today, I'm counting down the 10 longest range electric vehicles you can buy in 2026, from 395 miles all the way to the record holder. And the #1 car does it with half the battery of the trucks chasing it. Let's get into it. Kicking off the list at number 10 is the German sedan that quietly slipped into the long-range elite. The Audi A6 Sportback e-tron, rated at 395 miles. This is the car that fixed everything wrong with Audi's older EVs. The original e-tron SUV was a luxury masterpiece with one glaring flaw: inefficiency. The A6 e-tron is the opposite story, built on the modern PPE platform Audi shares with Porsche, with slippery sportback aerodynamics that rank among the slickest shapes Audi has ever produced. That platform brings more than range. You get 800-volt architecture with fast charging that adds serious miles in under 20 minutes, a beautifully finished cabin with Audi's signature build quality, and a driving experience that splits the difference between comfort and precision. At just under 400 miles of rated range, this is the car for the buyer who wants German luxury without ever thinking about a charger during the week. Nearly 400 miles means most owners charge once a week at home, period. The A6 e-tron rarely gets mentioned next to Tesla and Lucid in range conversations. And at number 10, it just earned its seat at that table. Number 9 is a legend taking its final bow: the Tesla Model S, rated at 410 miles. This is the car that started the modern EV era back in 2012. And this year, Tesla confirmed it is being discontinued. That makes this entry a last call. The Model S on this list today will not be on next year's version. Even after more than a decade, the Model S range story holds up through pure efficiency. It carries the smallest battery of any vehicle in this top 10, yet still posts 410 miles, an efficiency rating second only to the Lucid Air. The spec to get is the standard all-wheel drive on 19-inch wheels. Skip the 21-inch Valerium wheels, which cut range by 30 miles. You also get 670 horsepower, a 3.1-second sprint to 60, and full access to the supercharger network at 250 kilowatts. Here is the buyer angle. Discontinued models mean clearance economics. Dealers and Tesla itself get motivated, and lease deals on remaining inventory tend to get aggressive as the end approaches. If you have always wanted the car that started it all, with over 400 miles of range and a piece of automotive history in your garage, this is quite literally your last chance to buy one new. Number 8 is the longest range 3-row adventure SUV in America, the Rivian R1S, rated at 410 miles in the dual-motor Max Pack configuration. For a boxy, rugged, 7-seat SUV shaped nothing like an aerodynamic teardrop, that number is a real engineering statement. The R1S earns its range the honest way. A large Max Pack battery paired with Rivian's efficient dual-motor setup, 1 motor per axle, managing power intelligently. Real-world testing lands around 358 miles, which is close to the EPA figure and remarkable for a vehicle this shape. And range matters differently in an adventure vehicle. 410 miles is not just commuting margin. It is the buffer that makes remote trailheads, mountain passes, and the return trip possible without charger math ruining the weekend. Beyond the number, the R1S remains one of the most complete vehicles on this list. 3 usable rows, clever storage everywhere, air suspension, serious off-road capability, and the best software experience outside of Tesla. Rivian just posted a growth quarter, while most of the industry shrank, beat its own delivery guidance, and raised its full-year outlook, so the company behind the warranty is trending the right direction too. For families who want maximum range and maximum adventure in one vehicle, nothing else on this list wears both hats. Number 7 is the luxury truck hiding a monster number in its top trim, the GMC Sierra EV. The Elevation Extended Range carries an EPA rating of 410 miles, but step up to the AT4 Max range and GMC estimates up to 478 miles, which would place it among the top 4 vehicles on this entire list. The Sierra EV is the upscale sibling of the Silverado EV we will meet later, built on the same Ultium platform with the same giant battery options. What GMC adds is the premium layer. Available Super Cruise, hands-free driving, the multi-pro midgate that opens the bed into the cab for extra long cargo, a 16.8-inch portrait touchscreen, and an onboard power station that can push over 10 kilowatts to run tools, camps, or even a home in an outage. It also posted one of the rare sales gains among electric trucks this year, while the rest of the segment retreated. The honest note: those huge range figures come from huge batteries, which means longer charge sessions when you do finally plug in, and the AT4 Max range pushes past $90,000. But for a truck buyer who tows, hauls, and covers long distances, the math works in a way no gas truck can match. Even under heavy towing loads, a 400+ mile starting point leaves realistic 200-mile working stretches. That is the number that makes electric trucks finally viable for real truck work. Number 6 is the efficiency champion of the entire truck world, the Rivian R1T, rated at 420 miles in the dual motor max pack spec. And here's the stat that makes engineers nod. The R1T pulls that number from a 149 kilowatt hour battery, working out to roughly 15% better efficiency than the full-size electric trucks that need packs near 200 kilowatt hours to go similar distances. Why does that matter to you? Because efficiency compounds. A smaller battery charges faster relative to the miles it adds, costs less to replace someday, weighs less, and holds its range better in hills and cold weather. The R1T gets you into the 400-mile club without the penalties of a 200 kilowatt hour monster pack. And the truck around that battery remains one of the best vehicles Rivian or anyone else builds. 11,000 pounds of towing, nearly 15 inches of ground clearance, the gear tunnel, the frunk, the powered tonneau, 3 separate cargo systems before you even reach the bed. Reviewers consistently describe it as powerful and built to last, and real-world range tests land around 358 miles, right in line with expectations for highway speeds. For the buyer who wants a truck that ranges like a sedan and adventures like nothing else, the R1T is the thinking person's pick of the electric truck world. Number 5 is the biggest bargain on this entire list, and it is not close. The all-new BMW iX3, rated at 434 miles, arriving at American showrooms later this year at an estimated starting price around $61,500. Run the math on that. Every other vehicle remaining on this countdown costs 6 figures or close to it. The iX3 delivers top 5 range for roughly half the money, about $142 per mile of range. The best value ratio of any long-range EV in America. This is the first vehicle on BMW's new Neue Klasse platform, and the numbers explain why BMW calls it their most important launch in decades. 800-volt architecture, peak charging at 400 kilowatts, faster than anything else on this list, adding roughly 175 miles in 10 minutes. 6th generation cylindrical battery cells, the heart of joy, control unit, managing powertrain and braking responses at speeds no previous BMW could touch. This is not an old platform stretched to hit a number. It is the newest technology in the segment, and the range figure is a byproduct of that head start. The one catch is timing. The iX3 is just now reaching the market, so early demand will be intense and discounts will be non-existent. But if the question is who delivers the most range per dollar in 2026, this is the answer. And it changes the entire long-range conversation for buyers who thought 400+ miles required a 6-figure budget. Number 4 is what happens when the efficiency masters build a family hauler. The Lucid Gravity, rated at up to 450 miles in the Grand Touring 2-row configuration. The 3-row setup lands at 437, meaning even the version with 7 seats outranges nearly everything else in America. Here is the engineering story that makes the Gravity special. It reaches 450 miles from a battery around 123 kilowatt hours, roughly 80 kilowatt hours smaller than the pack the Escalade IQ needs to go just 15 miles farther. That is the Lucid signature. Range through efficiency rather than brute force. Smaller pack, faster effective charging, lighter vehicle, better real-world consistency in cold and hills. And the Gravity is not a science project. It is the reigning luxury car of the year at the New York Auto Show, with a perfect 10 out of 10 score from major reviewers, 3 rows of adult space in a footprint smaller than the giant SUVs it competes with. Driving dynamics that reviewers compare to sports sedans, not family buses. Charging that recovers about 200 miles in under 15 minutes. The build quality of early units drew some criticism, and Lucid's finances remain the asterisk on the brand, but purely as a machine, the Gravity is the most impressive SUV on this list. 55 miles per kilowatt hour of battery separates the Masters from the rest, and the Gravity proves the point in family size. Number 3 is the heavyweight champion, in every sense. The Cadillac Escalade IQ, rated at 465 miles. This is a nearly 9,000-pound, 3-row, full-size American luxury flagship that outranges almost every sleek aerodynamic sedan ever built. It gets there with a colossal battery in the 200 kilowatt-hour class, wrapped in a body a full foot longer than the gas Escalade. The range number is only half the story. Real-world highway testing has the Escalade IQ comfortably exceeding 450 miles, which is nearly unheard of. Most EVs fall well short of their EPA figure at speed. Credit the surprisingly slick shape. A raked roofline, flat underbody, and active grille shutters, cutting drag on a vehicle that has no business being this efficient. Inside, it is an executive lounge. The 55-inch pillar-to-pillar display, up to 750 horsepower, Super Cruise, hands-free driving, 4-wheel steering that shrinks it in parking lots, air suspension, and a 12 cubic foot power front trunk. It won Best Luxury Car of the Year from major outlets, and it starts around $130,000. So this is the money no object pick. But for the buyer who wants maximum American presence with maximum range, road trips with the whole family, and zero charging anxiety, nothing else this size comes close. Number 2 is brute force done brilliantly. The Chevrolet Silverado EV, rated at 493 miles with the max range battery, the longest range of any truck on the planet, and just 19 miles short of the overall crown. Chevy gets there the old-fashioned American way, with the biggest battery in the business, a pack in the 200 kilowatt-hour class built directly into the truck structure, and the engineering around it is smarter than the brute force reputation suggests. The battery runs at 400 volts while driving, then reconfigures itself to 800 volts at a fast charger, letting it pull from 350 kilowatt stations without exotic hardware. To hit the full 493 miles, you need the work truck or LT trim with the max range pack around $74,000, while the retail trims land around $478,000. Here is why this truck matters beyond the number. Towing is where every electric truck dies. Range can drop by half with the trailer hooked up. Start from 493 miles. And even heavy towing leaves realistic 200-mile working stretches between stops. Add 12,500 pounds of towing capacity, up to 775 pound-feet of torque, the Multiflex midgate that swallows extra long cargo, and Super Cruise on higher trims. And this is the first electric truck where the range math finally works for real truck life. Real-world tests back it up, with reviewers seeing 450 to 470 miles on a charge. The trucks were supposed to be the weak spot of the EV world. The Silverado EV turned them into the second longest range vehicle in America. And the longest range EV you can buy in 2026, the undisputed king, is the Lucid Air. 512 miles, EPA rated, in the Grand Touring trim. It is the only production EV on Earth past the 500-mile mark on the strict American test cycle. Nothing else is close in the way that matters. Because here is what separates the Air from everything below it. The Silverado needs a 200 kilowatt-hour battery to chase this number. The Air does it with a pack around 112, nearly half the size. That works out to over 4 miles per kilowatt hour in real driving, the most efficient production car in the world. Independent highway testing at 75 miles per hour returned 410 real miles, a figure most EVs cannot hit on the official test, delivered by the Air at full highway speed. The engineering reads like a masterclass. a drag coefficient of 0.197, the slipperiest production car sold in America. Motors so power dense that a suitcase-sized unit produces up to 670 horsepower. In Grand Touring form, 819 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. And charging that recovers up to 200 miles in about 12 minutes. Efficiency is not a side effect here. It is the entire identity of the car, and it pays off twice. Fewer stops and shorter ones. The asterisks are real. The Grand Touring costs around $115,000, and Lucid, the company, is still fighting for its financial future, something I covered in a previous video. But judged purely as a machine, the Air is the greatest range achievement in EV history. And it holds the crown by doing more with less, while everyone else does more with more. 512 miles. The record holder, and still the benchmark everyone else is chasing. One honest tip before we close, because it applies to every car on this list. The EPA number is a comparison tool, not a promise. At a steady 75 miles per hour, most EVs deliver 10 to 20% less than the sticker, and cold weather cuts deeper. So mentally discount any rated figure by about 15% for highway trips, and you will never be surprised. A 512-mile Lucid is a 410-mile car at full highway speed. A 300-mile EV is a 250-mile winter car. Buy with that math in mind, and every car on this list will still cover more distance than your bladder can. And a quick word for the budget-minded. You do not need this list to live happily with an EV. A 300-mile Ioniq 5, Model Y, or Toyota BZ covers nearly everyone's real driving for a third of the price at the top of this countdown. Range is wonderful. Range per dollar is wisdom. I am Nick, this has been Nick's Car Review, and I will see you in the next one.